Hello everyone. I thought today I would talk to you mainly about what I do and how I approach my job, because I know Joe's spoken to you a lot about sort of exercises and what they do and what they're good for. So I thought I'd talk more about the philosophy and the way I approach what I do at WASPs. So, my background is I got a BSc in Sports Science from Leeds. Straight after that I started the MSc here at Bolton and sort of paid my way doing that as a freelance S&C coach. At the end of my second year here I managed to get an internship with WASPs, so I deferred on that year. Went pretty well, went up to Assistant Academy last year and sort of finished the MSc, so that was quite a hellish year. And then just this summer I managed to get promoted to Head of Academy, and next year, who knows, we'll see. As things stand, we've got a pretty good academy at WASPs. I inherited a very good academy. This is including the first team squad at WASPs. Currently in the academy we have the best vertical jump, bench press, deadlift and 10 metre time in the entire club. So that's including 50 players, a good bunch of which are capped internationals. At England 18s level, we have the best vertical jump on 40 metre time. We have about 13 age group internationals at the moment. Last year we had 0 non-contact injuries, which is probably the most important bit for me. Unfortunately this year that's gone already, because one fly halfie doesn't do his rehab, has strained his hamstring. And last year our apprentices were runners-up in the national championships. How I got here was just, I enjoy what I do, work hard at it. I've been rejected from many interviews, and every time I get rejected I sulk about it and demand to know why I didn't get the job. And when they tell me, I go off and work on it. And it's persistence. It was 2 years of consistently applying for internships before I managed to get an internship. And even then, I think I was the only one who applied for that position. So it's just knock on the door. Great support network. I owe my mum and dad probably about £5,000 still. Even with 3 part-time jobs and my internship, I ended up £5,000 down. So without them, I couldn't have done it. Rule number 1, you are your network. Joe Lightfoot came in here, he is probably the best networker I've met as a coach. He's 23 and already he's a doctor, he's opening his own gym and knows everybody on the planet. So, you are your network. Rule 2, see above. It's that important. You will get jobs based on who you know. What you know will keep you there, but it is who you know that will get you the job. Today, half of what I'm doing is probably wrong. If I could find out which half, I'd be a better coach, but I don't know. Anything I say, if you disagree, please say so, because I'm going to learn from you, same as I hope you'll learn from me. It's a conversation, not a lecture, so interrupt me, say what you think, ask questions. If any of you would like to contact me afterwards, if you have any thoughts, because I typically do this, I don't raise my hand at the time. Those are my contact details. So, any discussion of coaching or how to be an S&C coach in a sport is, I think you have to begin with, what does a coach do? And most people will say you have to make them strong, fast, blah, 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 blah. And I would disagree with that straight away. Your number 1 role as a coach is to keep them playing. Number 2 is then increase power output in the competition exercise. A small caveat to this is with youth athletes, your goal should be to maximise preparation versus adults, not coaches, athletes. Adult athletes should be to maximise readiness. I'll go into a bit more detail in each of these. Keep them playing. Injured athletes do not win games, do not get contracts, do not earn their money. Okay, you have to get them onto the field and stay on the field before they can perform to their best and make you look good. Non-contact injuries are, I think, inexcusable as a coach. If your athletes are getting hurt when nothing is even touching them, you have not done your job. Sometimes it will happen, but you should aim for 0. 0 injuries in training, 0 injuries in matches. Prevent what you can prevent. Don't worry about somebody clashing heads, breaking a leg because somebody fell on them. Worry about things like, I'll go into this, ACLs, hamstrings, Achilles, tendinopathy, stuff like that. It doesn't matter how fast, strong, agile you are if you are sat on the bench. That simple, I think. Goal number 2, power output. My sort of philosophy is informed from the Russian model, which I think is still applicable to rugby, even if it was designed in nice, predictable sports with narrow demands. But their number 1 goal was to increase power output in the competition exercise. So for a nice, predictable sport like shot put, if you can increase power output that you apply to the shot, it's going to go further, your sport results improve. There are 2 aspects to power output. One is motor potential. So if we use the analogy of a car, motor potential is, what horsepower do you have in your engine? How much torque can the car produce? Technical mastery is, how good is the driver behind the wheel? Okay, it's no good having a Ferrari if you stick a chimp behind the wheel. Some people can get away with being a Ford Mondeo if you put Lewis Hamilton behind the wheel. What we have to ensure is that we have a high motor potential and a high degree of technical mastery. Motor potential is going to be determined by neuromuscular, central nervous system, metabolic and morphological characteristics. So things that are typically structural. So body shape, muscle cross-sectional area, cardiac chamber dimensions, stuff like that. In acyclic sports, one movement, shot put, high jump, long jump, it's all about peak power output. How much force can you apply at the instant you release that shot? How much force can you apply to the ground at the instant you take off to high jump? At the opposite end, cyclic sports, cycling, running, swimming, it doesn't matter how much force you can apply for one stroke, you have to apply a high average power output across all strokes to get that win. Field sports are a headache, unfortunately. If you train completely for peak power, you neglect average power. If you train completely for average power, you neglect peak power. You have to decide, as a coach, what it is you value most, and that is going to be informed by team philosophy, the makeup of your players, and your philosophy as an S&C coach and how you approach your sport, where you're going to set your marker in that trade-off. Are you going to chase more power and less average power output, or are you going to go at the opposite end? So, power output in field sports. This is my belief. It's informed by, I've written his name down at the end, a guy called Mladen Jovanovic. He's a Serbian football S&C coach. His idea is that in field sports, you're trying to do essentially both from the acyclic and cyclic sports. You're trying to increase the power output of maximal effort. So in my job, that's sprinting, tackling, kicking. Short, powerful efforts. How high can you get power output during those efforts? In between, you're trying to increase the frequency, efficiency, and duration of those efforts. So you may have fantastic power output, but then if you die and you're hanging out your arse for 78 minutes of the 80, you're not very useful. You become a better athlete when you are powerful and you can do it again and again and again and then again with the same efficiency. I'll talk a little bit more about this, but the lactic acid energy system is not your friend in that regard. It's not the most powerful, so we've suffered in terms of intensity. It is not efficient or repeatable. We've all seen MMA fighters punch out. So it's not particularly sustainable. So does the lactic acid energy system support these criteria? My opinion is no, it does not. Nor does it help the alactic or oxidative mechanism. High degrees of lactic acid in the cell can actually either destroy or inhibit the aerobic apparatus, which is absolutely vital for a rugby player. In terms of technical mastery, I think this is a big area that gets neglected, and it's an area that I've neglected myself until maybe the last year or so. There's a big case for increasing power output, strength, power, speed, boom, 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 boom. But people forget about technical mastery, putting Lewis Hamilton behind the wheel of the car instead of a monkey.